Hello there, everybody. I hope you are doing really well. I am Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. And if you're new to my channel, welcome here. I'm glad to have you. I hope you like what you hear. And if so, hit that like and subscribe button. Of course, always to my members, extra special thank you. I really appreciate you more than I can tell you. You motivate me. You engage with me. This is a community that we're building, and I truly, truly honor you. And for my regular subscribers in general, keep them coming. I really appreciate your presence. I appreciate your time, the investment of your time, and I try to make it worth your while on this channel. If you are new to me again, I have a really interesting background. Former newspaper journalist turned initiated priestess in the ATR tradition, African traditional religion. Pagan, got some pagan background in there as well. High priestess in the pagan tradition. Just a real interesting mix, very eclectic. I'm very open spiritually. Anything that is about the light, anything that is about oneness and joining us together, in a common cause for our humanity and uplifting one another. You can count me in that crowd. All right. So that said, cards are my jam, oracle cards as well as tarot. Today I'm going to switch it up, you all, and I'm actually going to use a Lenormand deck because a few of you have reached out to me in regards to Joe Biden's health and whether it's likely that he will manage to stay in office through at least January of 2025, or if in fact his health is going to deteriorate to the point where Kamala Harris will have to step in. All right, so we are going to take a look at that. Secondly, I want to take a look at, there's been some interesting energies presented around next week during the Democratic convention, astrologically especially, right? There have been some indications that there could be some sort of upheaval, like that's the last thing we need, right? So I'm going to go to Spirit. Actually, I'm asking point blank, will our joy, right? The joy that we have been feeling, just getting invigorated and reinvigorated and everything that we've seen, especially this past week as Tim Walz and Kamala Harris sort of rolled out their whole platform, across the states. Incredible turnout, just incredible vibe. I watched all of the speeches. I don't know about you. I bet many of you did as well. And each time, even though after a while you kind of get familiar with some of the phrases, you know what's coming because they're, in different audiences, they're saying the same things, but every time it's hitting, when we fight, we win, right? But I do want to look at and just go to Spirit and say, listen, we so need this joy and this sense of feeling hopeful at this point. I want to see, is the joy going to hold out through the convention, or are we going to, are we looking at something happening? So those two things today, right? Keep it nice and short and sweet for you all. Let's go. So the first question, Spirit, Joe Biden's health. Will Joe Biden remain in office through the end of his term, through January 2025? Will Joe Biden remain in office through January 2025? Luck is on his side. We've got the Clover. We have the book. I'll show these to you. His legacy. He really, really, at this point, now that he bowed out of the race, what he has to show. For instance, the recent victory of having those hostages released from Russia, for which who thanked Putin, right? It never ends. But the things that he can accomplish and continue to accomplish, not just running on his, decades long record, but Biden is really trying to hang in there, you all. Go ahead and show these to you. We have the clover, many of it, four-leaf clover, the luck of it, and also a timing element of it, like he can hold on for the rest of his time. And that book, it feels like there's this, that for me feels like his legacy, what he wants written in the history books. He would not, can you imagine, after having basically come to a harsh recognition that he had to bow out of the race, that was harsh enough. Now then, on the heels of that, to have to bow out of his office, it's almost too much for him to bear. So He's definitely going to hang in there unless something happens that is absolutely, we've got the anchor. He's ready to move. He is working towards what's next. Now that he knows that he's been freed from a potential another 4 years in office, he's definitely focused on what's next, and he's making plans for his future. But he does not intend. I don't think that whatever has to happen, even if we just start to see less and less of him because his health is, on the slide a little bit, right? So even if we see less of him or hear less of him, but him reaching a point that he actually has to be removed and Kamala Harris to step in, I'm not so sure about that. And then I got the clouds. There, that is his health. Him having some health issues. This has taken a toll on him. The constant issues around his son Hunter, all of the things, like all of it, right? We could roll out a whole scroll of personal situations in Joe Biden's life that have been painful. Bo, you go to that, like that, he's never, and you, how do you get over losing a child, right? So I think that's it. His mind has gotten murkier. All right, it is what it is. And there will be a continuation of that, but I don't see him having to actually get to a point where he is no longer able to function. Yeah, he's gonna hang in there. We got the dog, loyal to the end. All right, so unless something drastic occurs that I'm not seeing in the energy right now, I think that Joe Biden, again, we will see a continued deterioration when he does speak in public. I think we're going to see more and more of, sort of nodding our collective heads like, yeah, we understand now why, it was a good thing that you stepped down. There's the proof of it. But something to the point where he just simply cannot function between now and January, I'm not so sure about that. I'm not seeing that. All right, you all? All right, so now we're going to move on to the Democratic Convention. Again, there's been, a lot of talk among astrologers and others that energetically there will be some funky stuff going on. Like, what else is, what's new, right? At this point, I think most of us are just like, so whatever that is, though, it would be a shame because there has been such incredible, powerful momentum since Kamala Harris, especially in the last week, as she and at once Tim Walz was announced. And they were able to hit the trail together. The chemistry between them, the way they complement one another, right? He was absolutely. I'm not saying I was pulling for Josh Shapiro. I did do several readings, and the energy around Josh Shapiro was coming around like boom, boom, boom. But now that it came out, in Spirit's divine wisdom, we get it, right? We get it that Tim Walz was absolutely the perfect complementary energy to Kamala to put on a ticket together. They have had such an incredible reception in some tough areas, and interestingly enough, some of those issues that we knew were going to be challenging for Harris, like on immigration, on the economy, she's going at it full on. Like, she's got definitely some good people around her, unlike the other side, where people they don't know what to do because they can't control their candidate. He's gonna go out there and do whatever. But I'm not dealing with him today. I'll deal with him on the next reading. Today I'm trying to keep the joy, y'all. I'm trying to keep the joy. So Spirit, please show me the energy of the Democratic Convention when it kicks off next Monday, the 19th in Chicago. Will it go smoothly? Will it, in general, overall, what will be the energy of the Democratic Convention in Chicago next week? We have the ships coming in, and look at all those beautiful hearts out there in the water. So that's the gathering of, the gathering of the tribes, right? That's everybody coming together with a mission. There is a collective sense of camaraderie, understanding the challenges that the Democratic Party has gone through in recent months, basically this whole year. So that's everybody coming in together and holding long-term plans together. Look at all of this powerful, like, um, joining together and having a mission of where we need to go together. What needs to transpire? What needs to happen over the long term? What is the collective vision for the party? So there is, I will tell you, just from these two cards alone, I feel like it is going to be extremely, extremely well organized. Everything pitch perfect on topic. Every speaker chosen to perfection on which days, right? Leading up to, Walz is supposed to speak on Wednesday, and then the conference closes out, the convention closes out on Thursday with Kamala Harris. Every single component of this convention is coming together. So in terms of chaos, it is certainly not because it is not because the party has not gotten its act together. This is going to be almost like they're giving me the term orchestra, like orchestrated to like a symphony, like played out to perfection in terms of the planning of it. Now, will there be some sort of dissenters or rabble rousers or somebody, trying to kick something off? um I don't. If so, they're gonna be squashed so fast. Look at that heart. Look at that love. There is so thank you, Spirit. So because I went saying, will the joy hold out? Will the joy hold out? And I think there's such a determination to hold on to it, a determination to have this convention go by and go through, without some sort of crazy incident. And there's Kamala. She comes up as the woman, um, and the woman who is a leader. This is a tower, but unlike tarot, the tower in the Lenormand refers to an organization, an entity, the government. So yeah, this is all about, officially done. Once the convention is done, then it is off to the races. What will be close to us? What we're at 86 days today. I love the way they've been counting down. Tim Walz and Kamala Harris as they made their speeches. They were like 90 days, 89 days, blah, blah. So I think by the time we have to get through the convention, we'll be down to almost 70 days, like a little over 2 months, right? She's going to be firmly established. I don't think if there are any inklings of, and there's the man. Oh, I just love it. Thank you, Spirit. So we've got the two of them, Tim Walz, the woman representing Kamala Harris, and the office of the White House. The election itself, running our government. This is going to be bigger than, to the extent that we've got people who want to really push issues around Israel and the Gaza war, immigration, some of the more challenging aspects, people who want to question Tim Walz's military record. We heard J.D. Vance come out with that, and so legitimately the campaign had to walk back this comment that apparently Tim Walz made around carrying weapons into war, and that was not, as stated, that was not true. That had nothing to do with marring his 24-year military record. I think for all the criticism that the media deserves at times when it comes to how we are presented with information, I thought they did a fairly balanced job of bringing in military people, some who, even GOP military people, who said, what he did was wrong, but his service is his service. Like the military people look out for one another, and there's a level of respect for Tim Walz in that regard that JD Vance can hoop and holler all he wants. He needs to just try to stand on his own laurels with his military background. From what I understand, was a desk job in Iraq. So, but stand on that. Hold tight to your pride in that, and stop trying to tear somebody else down. So I just don't see that happening. I don't see it being tolerated because, look, she comes up as the healer. There is, talking about joy, there is a sense of healing divisions, not just in terms of what Democrats or liberals and those on the left or left to middle were feeling, going into this race, but also healing. She does have a genuine interest in wanting to heal some of this angst and anger and separation in the American public. The idea that we have been, those of us who do want democracy and want to maintain certain civility and freedom, that it doesn't mean that we are opposed to those who stand on certain things behind Donald Trump. And just as I said his name, look what I pulled, right? Yeah. Spirit doesn't play. And this, I do want to be clear for those who may not be very familiar with tarot and this sort of energy. This is not the biblical devil. This energy is about greed. It is about being harmful, and very often most harmful to oneself, or being in toxic patterns of behavior that are destructive. He fits all of those bills, right? 45 does. But it's just such an interesting juxtaposition when I pull healer around Kamala Harris and the devil around 45. I'm pulling him. I think he comes up in the context of joy at the convention, because of course they're going to have to address him. They're going to lay out their case for how this ticket, the Democratic ticket, is in such a direct contrast to what he embodies and represents. We're not going back, right? And this is very much, the devil energy is about being chained to a habit, a behavior, a belief system, anything that is toxic and prohibits you from being able to live fully. And for whatever reason, this is just the life pattern and life path that this man has chosen, 45. So that is what it is. But yes, we will see some of that. It has to be discussed. The contrasts need to be continually laid out between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And that's what we're going to see. Full on. But I do not see anything catastrophic. I'll look again towards the end of the week, or as we get into the beginning of next week. I'll take another peek perhaps, but I don't see anything. So, and it could also be, remember, a lot of times when we're getting these energies, predictive energies around what's happening astrologically, it could be because of other things that are happening in the world. Look at what the UK is going through. My prayers and support to our brothers and sisters in the UK, those who have been turning out, protesting, and saying racism, fascism will not be allowed. Wow, can't we relate? It is so interesting how this energy is traveling around the globe at this point. So again, we may see more of this on a global stage. Some of it may trickle over into our own domestic politics here, but I don't see some sort of avalanche of something wild and crazy happening. All right, you all? All right, I promised I was going to keep this short. We're going to close it out right here. I'll check back in with you later in the week. Take good care. Remember to breathe, chin up, shoulders back, keep yourself relaxed, and keep that joy in your hearts. I'll talk to you soon.